good sign. Hesitating to pull up the Wi-Fi network I was trying to use there. See if we can get this camera angle set up to feature my main man, Z to the Dub. Special guest appearance on the live stream tonight. What's up, Z Dub?
What you know good? Happy to be here at Fish Life HQ, baby. I'm loving it. Loving life.
Something like that. We got Brian Vaughn, Sam Taylor, Dusty Newton, and Kay Perrin. Those are the first comments. Ben Bossy just jumped in as well. We got some more coming. We got some folks joining hot and heavy. It's coming in hot, you might say.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. It's a wonderful Thursday night. And here's the deal. We're going out tomorrow. We're going to do something we ain't done in a long time. We're going to go fishing.
Our one time a year, our annual thing now.
We don't get to go as much as we used to, that's for sure. But we're going to go out tomorrow, and we're going to document it on that old video camera. And you guys will see an upcoming episode right here on the Your Lake Fork Guide channel. What's more important than that is it is a wonderful time of year if you're into bass fishing. Now, we've had some extenuating circumstances with a lot of rain, colder than normal water temps, but that is changing fast. The water is heating up. We've still got the rain. We've still got the dirty water. But I think them fish are about as tired of waiting on it as everybody else is.
I think they are, man. They are active.
They starting to bite. So, that being said, you want to just jump right into the baits?
We can jump right on into it. You can give a little week review, let everybody know what's been going down out on the lake, where you found success, and then we'll show them what you found success on.
There you go. There's a lot of things happening. There's still a little bit of spawning fish if you like that. I've kind of moved on from that, even as much as I like the bed fish, because they're not in a lot of areas. There's not a whole bunch of them, and Lake Fork's a busy lake. So for me to have patterns that I can do all day, there needs to be a lot of it. Now, shad spawn still going pretty good in some areas, especially the shallow kind of grass-related shad spawn. That's happening in some areas. The brim are starting to get up there shallow. They're not quite spawning yet. They are a little bit, but they're up tight to the cover.
That's right.
They're up around them grass edges, the flooded bushes, all that stuff. There's brim up shallow everywhere. So the brim bite can be a key deal right now. But topwaters, man, it's May. May is a great month to throw topwaters. And hopefully the signal's holding up for us. There we go. It's coming back.
Is there anything better than a topwater bite? I mean,
no.
When they just come up and explode on that popper or that frog or that that spook, man, it's just it just shoots a little shiver down your spine. Yeah. Kind of scares you there for a minute, like, oh crap, what was that?
Then you remember, I've got to set the hook in there. So topwaters are a lot of fun, and you'll see it in tonight's top 5 baits. In fact, let's just go ahead and get into it. Z, hand me that popper right there. There you go. This is going to be the first of our top 5 baits. A 6 cents Splashback 70 popper. The smaller popper is the one I'm throwing from 6 cents. This thing's kind of a unique popper. It's got a triangular shape. It has a real erratic action. It'll walk kind of crazy on you, and that's how I recommend working it. Give it a couple quick pops, 3 quick pops, pause in between, make it go real erratic. That seems to be the best bite, the best way to work the popping baits right now.
Yeah, so what I've noticed about that bait right there, show them the back of it, man. It looks like, the back almost has a flat profile to it rather than that rounded off profile. So, it really provides just that little bit of character and that little bit of erratic action that will separate you from, say, one of the other poppers on the market.
It darts and dodges around and does its thing, and it's a great bait. All you got to do is just find you a good shady area in the morning. Maybe it has some spawning bass in it recently. If you've been on the water, there's been some bass spawning in there. They're done spawning now. Get back in that shady area and throw that popper around. You'll catch some fish for sure. Now, if you're going to fish the shad spawn and you're going to be on the points, this joker right here. Now, I have gone down to the smaller because the gizzard shad spawn is kind of faded. The deal you guys saw the Bassmaster Elite Series guys doing with the gizzard shad spawn, that is kind of faded. It's more of a threadfin shad spawn, but that's still going really good right now. And so these next 2 baits are really geared towards that. First one, if you want to get a windblown point, and you see some shad flicker around, you see some fish chasing, man, this deal right here, this is a 6 cents Dogma 100, the smaller of the Dogma topwater walking baits. It's got you can see the weights in there, the casting chamber. This thing, you can throw it a mile, you can cover a lot of water on them points. And when them fish are chasing those shad all over that point, you need to be able to cover a lot of water.
That's right.
And this thing has a great walking action. The fish absolutely destroy this bait when you're walking the dog with it. That's bait number 2. Bait number 3 Oh, Captain Ron. Speaking of, we got a guest appearance through the telephone tonight, so you guys stay tuned for that. Bait number 3 is going to be the frog. And this is the one I'm having my most success on. This is what we call affectionately cowboy. Because when the fish see it, they see silver and blue. Y'all see that right there? Mm-hmm. That's old cowboy right there. Captain Ron's a big cowboy fan. He gave it that name. It's actually called Killer Gill. It's a spro-popping frog. You can throw this thing, and right now on all of our lakes around here, this is a good bet. Because there's so much flooded cover in the water. There's flooded bushes, there's flooded grass, there's flooded everything.
That's right.
And anytime that's going on and it's May, you need to tie a frog on.
That's right. You always need to have a frog tied on in May.
In that situation. And then what I'm doing, guys, after the topwater bite kind of goes away on a bright day, if it doesn't last all day, what I'm doing is I'm getting in that flooded cover. And this is my number one most consistent pattern day in, day out for me personally. I'm doing a lot of flipping. And we're flipping a little beaver style bait, an Okeechobee crawl, flipping it in flooded bushes. We're flipping it in flooded, shoreline vegetation, potato weed, alligator weed, pond weed, just all the different stuff that grows out from the bank that extends out. And the further it extends out, the better the area seems to be. So if you can find those really big areas of flooded vegetation, flip that beaver around it in the holes on the edges.
On the edges. Now, are you punching with that bait as well? Are you punching this time of year?
Sometimes, yeah, we're flipping it and we're punching it. We're doing both. I don't know. I'm doing one more than the other. I'm just flipping it, man. I'm flipping it a lot. Lightweight, heavyweight. I just want that bait in the water in those areas. Go ahead and cue up our guest there, Z.
Hey, man, you ready? Hold on one second.
Billy, I got a real special treat for us tonight. Coming to you live from the bowels of East Texas here.
The bowels.
The man, the myth, the one that needs a stepping stool for the urinal at Oak Ridge, Ronnie Kelly, joining us live.
Captain Ron, guys, to bring you the fifth bait of the night. This is his specialty. It's his favorite technique. So we brought Captain Ron on the phone tonight. Talk to you about this little bait right here. Captain Ron, I'm holding the bait up. Tell him about it.
Good morning, boys. Good morning.
There it is.
Well, I'm assuming you're probably holding the Cloud9 C25.
That's the one I got. I got it in the that darker chartreuse blueback deal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Blue Truce.
Blue Truce.
So for the fifth bait of the night, folks, it's the 06 cents Cloud9 C25 and C20. Today we caught them on both of them. Man, we've been catching some really big fish on that big crankbait. 6 Cents had another crankbait I was throwing a little bit earlier in the year, and so kind of what my pattern is now is I'm graphing these long points, and I mean humps and ridges, but the long points at the mouth of major spawning pockets, and we're getting way off of 100, 200 yards off the bank out in anywhere from 14 to 20 foot of water, 21 foot of water, just kind of depending on where you see the fish stacked up, and getting upwind of those fish and cranking them, and I'm throwing that. I'm throwing just kind of a natural shad color. They've got a translucent pro blue color that they
Ghost
make.
Pro Blue,
really,
yeah,
really
Ghost Pro Blue.
Yeah, and that's a really good color. And I'm throwing that, one on the C25. More on the C20, I'm throwing the Blue Truce. But those are really good crankbaits. When the bite starts to slow down, or if I'm seeing them and I'm not really catching them, I'm switching to a silent crankbait. So, I'm keeping 4 big crankbaits on the boat. I'm keeping 2 C25s, one with rattles and one without rattles, and then the C20 with and one without rattles. And kind of switching through those. We're catching them on a slower moving bait here and there, but, man, that big crankbait digging down in that clay and banging off that gravel and shell and everything else that's down there will get a reaction from those fish like nothing else.
Well, a lot of times on Fork, these schools, especially this year, because the schools are getting out there later in the year than they usually do. And there's not just a whole ton of fish out there on all these spots just yet. Well, normally those schools get a chance to get out there and kind of get set up and establish themselves before everybody busts them up. Well, this year they're not getting out there until mid-May. Well, there's already a bunch of people out there trying to break them up. So a lot of times these fish aren't just real easy to catch is what I've been finding on these deep spots. And that crankbait seems to be about the only thing that'll get them to react and get going a little bit.
Yeah, and once you catch one or two, you can, we threw a 3/4 ounce football jig today, but you just don't have to. I mean, I love to throw that crankbait. Some people don't. It wears you out if you don't have the right equipment. I would recommend going out and getting just as big of a deep diving crankbait rod as you can get. I'm throwing a 6-speed reel. I'm throwing the Curado 200. Holds a lot of line.
That's important. You need a lot of line.
You need a lot of line, and the reason you need a lot of line is because you're going to throw out a lot of line. And if you're throwing a small reel, and I know you use those real high end lose reels, but on the reels that I have, they're a 150 size, and when you throw all that line out, your gear ratio is way down. You don't have a lot of line. You just don't have the proper equipment. So I'm using a 200 series reel, and with that 15-pound fluorocarbon, I'm able to get it down, and it's just not a lot of wear on me. And the other big deal, and we've talked about
by the way, Ronnie, on the lose reels for the deep cranking, I am using the Super Duties in a 6-speed as well, but they have the 200 plus line capacity as well. So
yeah, and that's like I said, I think that's a really big deal. Keeping that gear ratio where it needs to be once you've made a really long cat. I mean, hey, dude, you can throw all the line off your reel with that C25. I mean, that's like throwing a baby parrot.
Yeah.
And so the other thing to do is when you hook up with these big fish, and you're going to know, I mean, when you hook up with those fish, it just feels like you caught a big old sack of potatoes down there. You got to keep them down. Dude, we've talked about this, and we even talked about the article that Keith Combs wrote, which was pretty interesting to me because I had already kind of been facing some struggles on that. And these big fish, man, if they come up and they jump, there's a good chance you're going to lose them. And it has nothing to do with gear, equipment, hooks, anything like that. 6th Sense, they come out, their products come out of the box. There's nothing. A lot of times you hear somebody going, hey, you hear pros, they've designed some bait, and the first thing you need to do is get this bait and change the hooks. Well, with 6th Sense products, you just don't have to do that. They come straight out of the package with the best hooks, best split rings.
And I know you didn't catch it, but I put both the popper and the dogma, the smaller dogma, in the top 5 baits tonight, along with the deep diving crankbait that we're talking about now. And all of their products come out of the box ready to go. They make the best hard baits in the game. They make some of the best jigs. They make just tons of good stuff at 6th Sense Fishing. You can find all their stuff at 6thsensefishing.com when you go there. Please do enter the code Your Lake Fork Guide. It'll get you a 10% discount on all orders.
Hey, for our audience out there that may not be as familiar with 6th Sense as we are, talk about the difference between the 25 and the 20.
Well, the 25 is going to be your biggest body crankbait they make. This is a deep diving crankbait geared at that. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, Zach. That's something that's good to talk about. There's 2 differences in it. Number one, the C25 goes a little deeper, but more importantly, the C25 is a bigger profile bait. The C20 is a really good, and I'll throw the C20 from about 12. And in 12, it's digging. It's actually you're bringing up a lot of clay. But I'll throw it from 12 to about 15, even 16 foot. And then if I want to have that smaller profile bait, a lot of times I'll throw my bait, kick a bunch of line off of my reel with my trolling motor, put my rod tip down, and do that. But they're 2 totally different size baits. That C25 is the biggest bodied deep diving crankbait that's made. It would be equivalent to a Strike King 10XD, whereas the C20 is more of a kind of a in between a 6 and an 8XD. Right. And that C20 is a bad dude. I mean, I caught 2 giant fish on that thing today, and
we're kind of getting to the point where we got a bunch of questions stacking up. You mind hanging out with us for some questions?
Hey, not at all, man.
Okay, this is the first one, and I'm gonna give my answer, then you give your answer. What spot or cove can I catch the state/world record bass in? And my answer would be any cove or spot on Lake Fork. How about you?
I think it can come anywhere, anytime. The deal with Lake Fork is, we talked about before I went down to Falcon this year about the big fish, and the reality is, man, you could catch the state record in Glade in December, January, and then you could catch it in August out underneath the 154 bridge.
Yeah.
There's just
or you could catch it tomorrow on a long main lake point. Like it just
100%. You could hook it on a freaking chugger tomorrow morning.
You could. You could throw that dog up there on a point and catch it. Yeah. You don't know, and that's what the beauty of Lake Fork is. You never know when the bite of a lifetime is going to come. Now, the next question is a cranking question, so I wanted you to answer this one. How do you keep from losing all these expensive crankbaits? That sure could seem. They said it seems like that could get expensive. So you got anything for them on how to keep from losing and hanging up these crankbaits?
Yeah, there's two things. Number one, I'm not cranking. I'm finding clean patches to crank. I'll go through an area and I'll try to find me a pretty clean area to crank.
You're not cranking the underwater forest.
I'm not. No, I'm not. And well, that's complicated. Sometimes I am. Yes and no.
Here he goes. There goes a squirrel.
Yeah, you gotta. It's a complicated question. You gotta find that clean cast, and you gotta be able to feel that crankbait coming up to the tree. And when you start to feel it coming to the tree, I'll back off and real slow. When I feel it getting tight, I'll let it, 2 or 3 seconds float up and pull back down.
So being in tune with your bait and kind of being prepared for that tree that's coming, feeling it before it thumps it is important.
It's a big deal. And then having a really good plug knocker. I've got, the big plug knocker that wraps around your line, and I've got 3 chains on it. And then I've actually got like some anchor rope tied to it, which seems kind of silly, but I'm trying to bend the hooks out versus tear the crankbait out. If I bend the hooks out, I can pull them off, put a new one on. But
there you go. That's good.
And you're going to lose some crankbaits. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. It's part of it. I know it's easy for us. Yeah. People look at fishing guides and go, well, you guys probably get discounts or free lures. Well, hey man, if you want to get out there and you want to crank and we're catching like a lot of real 7, 8, 9, 10 pound. We're catching a lot of big fish in these crankbaits. If you want to get out there and you want to catch those bait, you're gonna hang up and you're gonna lose some.
That is part of it. They're liking what you're saying. They're getting it. They said, makes sense. Got it. Thanks. Also, somebody said, tell Captain Ron thanks for teaching me how to poop off the side of the boat.
Man, I'm glad I could be there. If you got any marital problems, anything, I do marriage counseling as well.
That's pretty good. Let me see if I can scroll back up here and find a couple more questions. I'm up north. Is there a certain water temp to start flipping and pitching? If not water temp, then what factors do I think about? Okay, so this is somebody up north, and they want to know when to start flipping and pitching. I'm going to say, when the water, for me down, which I don't know, the northern waters may be totally different, but for me down here, when the waters are in the lower 50s, even when they're rising, let's say they come up out of the 40s and the water temps are in the lower 50s, man, I really like to stick to the moving baits, the chatterbaits, the lipless crankbaits, square bills, moving 80X, all that kind of stuff. But once that water starts getting up in around that 60 mark and them fish start really thinking about getting on beds, that's when I really like to start my flipping routine. And I don't do it as much then as I do once they start getting off beds. The flipping deal becomes a real big deal for me as the fish come off the beds. Now, of course, when I'm sight fishing, we're flipping to them on beds. That's not what I think your question is about. I think they're asking, just about flipping cover and all that. And for me, that kind of becomes more of a player when I have a significant amount of fish coming off beds. What about you?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think, when these fish start to move off the beds and they're really feeding, they're getting into the cover and they're kind of hanging out and, getting back into shape to move out deep. I think that's probably one of the best times to flip. And then I think the other side is you kind of can flip. A guy made a comment today. He goes, Ronnie, I just feel like you can catch fish offshore deep any time of the year. And the opposite can be said for shallow fish.
This is true.
And when there's shallow fish and you've got some type of cover, you can usually flip, and pitch. And I think it's a broad question, but I think you nailed it.
Yeah, it is a broad question. And I've kind of established myself and made my living on the fact that you can catch fish shallow water year round because I probably do it more than just about anybody out there. All right, let's see what else we got. Billy, what hook brand and size were we using on the beaver? So on the beaver, what hook brand and size? There's a couple that I'll use. I'm using the ones that are available to me in the stores at Lake Fork Marina and Oak Ridge Marina, where I buy my hooks at as I'm going out, as I run out. My preferred hook is one that I have a hard time finding, and it is a Mustad Ultra Weld or something like that. It has a welded keeper. It comes in a green and white package, a real thick plastic package.
The Denny Brower hook.
The Denny Brower hook, that's the one. It has a welded keeper. And I love that welded keeper, and I'm going to tell you why. When I'm flipping in and out of heavy cover every day, all day, those other keepers that are wrapped or tied or plastic, knobs sticking out, those will tear up and come apart on you throughout the day, and you'll end up, your bait will start sliding down the hook as you're coming through that heavy stuff, and it's a pain in the butt. But that welded keeper will keep that bait pinned up there, and that welded keeper, it's not breaking. It's never coming unraveled, none of that. So
that's the best one I've used.
I really like that for a flipping hook. Just about everything else, I just about use an owner on almost every other hook. But that Mustad Dean Brown flipping hook is the way to go. Kevin Jones saying hello. We appreciate it. Stephen Latham says all top water is just ridiculous right now on the Cheater Lake. Oh, well, that's on his Cheater Lake. That doesn't count. Stephen, that don't count. Z, what are you going to be throwing tomorrow? I think that's what really these people don't understand. Like, we got Captain Ron and myself talking to you, and we guide. But this old dude sitting on my left shoulder right here, he can catch them. Side note, this dude's caught the biggest fish I've ever seen in a boat with me. So tell us what you're going to be fishing tomorrow, Z.
Well, right off the bat, naturally, I'm going to have top water tied on. I'm going to have a frog tied on, and I'm going to have either a popper, probably the spook type bait tied on.
These people know you. You have fans because this guy says wacky worm.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to that. And you know OZW is going to be slinging a whack.
He's going to have all this other stuff tied on. And, folks, he might throw it for a couple casts. But it won't take long.
Stay tuned for the video, baby. You'll find out what I'm going to catch him on.
It won't take long until the wacky worm comes out with Z-Dub. I can guarantee you that. All right. Let me see. I know I'm missing some questions. Guys, if Jay Laugh just joined us, we appreciate you joining us late. Even if you're late, man. Better late than never. And we always appreciate you joining us, Jay Laugh. Thank you very much. If you guys asked questions earlier and I missed them, please drop them in again. It's hard to keep up with all these comments that come in because some of your questions are way up at the top of the scroll. And by the time I get up to them, you guys are kicking it back down to the bottom again. It automatically kicks it down there every time you guys drop a comment in, which I really appreciate. But if you ask a question, please ask it again. What's up from Missouri? Fishing the Midwest. We appreciate that.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Z.
Old Z tends to, deep water fishing for OZW is what, 10, 12 foot? All right,
Maybe.
but I'm trying to expand
it.
my inventory this year. I'm gonna get out and do some deep water cranking. I'm gonna pot lick old Captain Ron there, find out where he's fishing and go throw him. But
we're following the Dreamsicle tomorrow morning. That's
right.
the plan.
But when you get into
the Dreamsicle is Captain Ron's orange boat, by the way.
Okay. When we get into Carolina rig fishing, which I know there's some fish being caught on Carolina rigs right now. What determines how long you make your leader on a Carolina rig? I see some guys out there throwing a 24-inch leader. I see some guys throwing a 48-inch leader. Is there something specific that is it just the fish kind of telling you what they like better?
I don't know, man. I throw a pretty long leader, but here's the deal, man. I really don't throw a Carolina rig deep. It's kind of funny. When I get deep, the last thing I want is for that fish to have 3 or 4 foot of slack in that line to run around. I already have trouble filling them sometimes in 2 foot of water. But I personally will tend, when I'm fishing that 12 to 40 foot of water, however deep, I'll tend to throw a jig or a real big shaky head or even a Texas rig before I'll throw a Carolina rig. I tend to throw that Carolina rig in the shallower. Now, with that being said, I throw a 1 ounce weight, a bead, and about a 4 foot leader. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what I throw. And I throw 3 baits: a baby brush hog, a fluke, and a lizard, and that's it. So we keep it pretty simple on that deal in my boat.
Hard to argue
what
with
about
that.
you, Billy?
I think you might be forgetting the bubble fry. I would do everything the same. I maybe go a little bit shorter. I tend to be around 3 foot on my leader. But 4 foot, I don't have. I mean, sometimes I go 4 foot. Just whatever I pull out and tie on. I'm not real particular about it. But I think that Smash Tech Bubble Fry is a big Carolina rig bait that you didn't mention there. That is a very big player on the Carolina rig, especially in summer and fall for some reason. In
the fall, especially that chartreuse.
That chartreuse pepper bubble fry, as you get to the hot summer, July, August, September, October, man, that chartreuse pepper bubble fry seems to really be a big deal on a Carolina rig. Man, we've got a ton of questions coming in now that I asked for them, so let me try to get all of them that I can, and we'll try to answer them as fast as we can. What hook are we using for the wacky worm?
It's the Gamakatsu 1/0 extra wide gap little circle hook.
Okay. where, and I'm gonna answer this one. Where are you throwing the wacky worm? Where I've been throwing wacky worms is all that flooded vegetation that we're talking about flipping. Any piece of cover out in front of that, any stump, any little piece of brush, anything, any dock that's out in front of that flooded vegetation, that's where I'm throwing the wacky worm. I throw that when I'm not getting my flipping bite, and I think that maybe they're pulled out from under that grass and they're out in front of it. That's when I throw the whack.
Well, I tell you what else will get bit too, and I found that out last weekend. If you can flip that wacky worm about 3 feet onto the grass mat and kind of hop it, try to make a little noise coming off the floating grass, and just let it fall right down there. Boom, they will hammer.
Yeah, you'll fish the wacky worm everywhere and catch them because you're the whack master. Is this dude's over here punching grass with a wacky worm, Ronnie? You hear that?
Yeah, I'm listening.
You just use the whole that way if you got a punch.
Okay, so
He's like, instead of a frog, I'm gonna throw that wacky worm up there and pop it.
yeah. So here's a Ronnie Kelly question. Now this guy's only been fishing about a year. He's new to the game. We appreciate him joining, and we hope we can help you, Caleb Brown. Is cranking with a 3-foot leader tied to braid bad to do? I also throw topwater with this same rod. So he's throwing his topwater's crankbaits on the same rod, and he wants to know if cranking with a 3-foot leader tied to braid is a bad idea. Talk.
Well, I don't know necessarily that you need a leader. There are people that crank with braid. I'm not personally one of them. I understand your situation with keeping the same rod for topwater and cranking, so that makes a little bit of sense. I don't think a leader is necessary, especially as many hard casts as you're making and having that knot coming in and out of those guides. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I think if you're going to crank with braid, just crank with braid. They can't see it. They can't see. I mean, gosh dang it, that thing. You assume every time you turn that handle, that's 3 foot of line coming in. Take that crankbait and run it across your face 3 foot as fast as that thing's moving, and you're not going to see it real well. Those fish aren't going to in 15 foot of water with no sun. So I think just straight braid or fluorocarbon.
Yeah, I get you. Okay, I'm trying to catch back up to questions. How will the full moon affect the bite? So here's what I think is going to happen on the full moon. I think every fish that's going shallow is already shallow. I think there's some fish that haven't spawned yet that will begin to spawn. We'll have this last. I think this will kind of be our last significant wave of bedfish. I don't think it's going to be a huge wave, but I think there will be a lot of new fish that are starting to make beds on this full moon right here. And I don't think anything's going to happen with the moon that's going to really affect anything. I think we're on our way. We've turned the corner. We have some spawning fish left. We have some late spawning fish that are about to start with this full moon that's coming. And all the spawning fish are on their way to the summer pattern already anyway, the ones that have already spawned. So we've got some of those going to the summer deal. There's more coming to that summer deal. There's a few more left to spawn, and that's kind of where we are. And I think that's just kind of, it's going to be what it's going to be. We've turned that corner. There's no more of that how many are moving in, how many are moving out deal. They're all up. It's just out from here. What do you think?
No, 100%. I think the bluegill are really, really starting to spawn. Talking to you and one other guy, sounds like the bluegill are up there. I don't think a lot of things are going to change. I think with the amount of
that full moon might actually key these bluegill into spawning really heavy because there's a ton of them up shallow. I'm not just seeing a ton of bluegill beds yet, so that actually might be more of an effect than anything. Is the bluegill really bed up good, which will really key in a lot of these post spawn fish start really picking on them,
And so you're not seeing it, but I'm seeing a lot of spawning bluegill. I'm graphing a lot of these points and little things like pond dams and stuff. So I'm seeing a whole. Let me give you, for example, Dell Creek. On your side scan, you look and you see the brim beds. And if you look in the middle of those brim beds and you see the little white dots,
yeah, that's brim.
Those are bluegill. So there's 3 or 4 spots that I've looked at the bluegill are kind of spawning a little deeper. And they do that. Not all the bluegill spawn up, in
right.
a foot of water. And I think you're right. There's going to be a lot of bluegill that move up. But man, the deal is, dude, I think a lot of these fish are just going to hang out up shallow this year. I don't think necessarily that as long as that water's up in that tater grass, gator grass, sex cane, all that other good grass, I don't think those fish are going anywhere. And as the bluegills start to spawn, and like you said, you've been looking. You and I talk every day, and you've been looking for that deal for a few weeks. And so, as they start to really do their deal, they're just going to more and more fish are going to get active, and the fish that are finishing up with this moon, they're going to start to feed. And I think everything's going to continue. It's good, but I think it's going to continue to get better.
Yep. There you go. I would agree with that. One guy says, I don't hear anything about square bills. Is that not happening? And I'm going to say,
Yes.
it's not that square bills aren't necessarily happening, but man, there's a lot of ways to catch them right now. Like, you can go catch some fish on a square bill, but you can go catch some better fish on a frog. You can go catch some even better fish on a deep diving crankbait, and you can catch more fish flipping. Like, a square bill.
I'm catching a couple fish a day on a square bill. I caught a couple yesterday, a couple today. I'm just like you said. It's gosh, man, you can only do so much in a day. And,
right. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat right now.
yeah, and I moved out. I don't think we stayed up shallow for more than an hour and a half today, and then we got out, 15, 18 foot of water and started cranking.
And I don't think I spent more than an hour and a half out deep today, and I stayed up shallow. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's a lot of different ways.
I don't know if you spent more than an hour and a half deep all year.
Sometimes it works out like that, brother, especially when the water's high. I'm a happy camper. You know that.
Absolutely. I get it, and I love it, and I enjoy it. And I've been throwing the frog a lot. My elbow just hurts.
Yeah, I hear you. It's work pulling them out of that junk. Brandon Coates wants you to expand. What exactly is sex cane?
It's it's those little grass reed looking deals.
Pencil reeds.
What did we decide they were called the other day?
It's called spawning grass, is what I call it.
Yeah, that's where
they
they're up there
spawn.
on that cane doing their thing.
They open that cane doing that thing. That's pretty good. You always have a little bit of flavor to add to the party, man. And I
dare somebody to Twitch Cowboy or White Monster next to some of that sex cane. I caught it over. What was that, Tuesday? I told you.
Yeah.
On a frog, and it was laying up on that cane.
It's laying up on that cane doing his thing.
That's it.
Hey, one of the guys wants to know, how can we reach this guy to your right if we're interested in a trip? You can reach all of us at yourlakeforkguide.com. Even if you want something with Z-Dub, which he's not a guide, but if you want to holler at him, want to ask him a question, anything you got, yourlakeforkguide.com. You send us an email there. You can contact all three of us there. We have a guy that connects us with that and kind of helps us manage that and funnels the contacts to the right people at the right time. So yourlakeforkguide.com is a great place to reach all of us anytime that you guys are interested in a guide trip or you want to know what Z-Dub is whacking and stacking with this week.
Maybe
it's
a
all
wacky
good.
seminar.
Or marriage counseling.
Marriage counseling from Captain. Captain's marriage counseling and chicken and waffles.
Dude, I'm talking about, hey, look, I bonded some serious relationships that are going down the drain, son.
Man, you guys are killing me tonight, man. It is an outstanding night to be in East Texas. Got my dog right here, Z-Dub. Thanks for joining us tonight. Captain on the phone. This is by far my favorite live stream we've ever done.
It's a good one.
Dude, thanks for calling, man. I enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys called me. It's been fun. Dude, we've had so much fun.
So much fun this year.
You made a comment the other day. You go, man, it's funny. There's some people out there that are fishing every day that are grumpy and like, we're wearing sweatpants, shorts, and flip-flops to work every day. And dude, like on the greatest lake there is, I mean, it's just nuts. The guy today, we're sitting here talking and we're like, how many lakes? And even the fish that you don't get to the boat, we've talked about losing fish, seeing fish that you're up shallow, so you're seeing a lot of fish that you're not catching. Maybe you're seeing them cruising. But dude, it's just all you can do is laugh.
It's insane.
You're like pretty much everybody's best day of fishing is just swimming all around the bank, all around. This is everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much people get in our boat. Yeah, every day people get in
Every day is like the best day of fishing for most people. It's just nuts.
People get in our boats and especially my boat, like you said, being up shallow. We get in our boat and we're like, well, there's an 8-pounder, and there's a 9-pounder, and there's a 7-pounder.
Yeah.
And like these people are like, oh, my PB is an 8-pounder or a 9-pounder, but I've never caught more than one in a day. I'm like, well, there's 5 in this pocket right here.
Right.
You may not catch them, but they're there. Like, and then hope we do catch plenty of them too. So we catch them quite often. So it's phenomenal.
Nuts. And you see them on the graph, dude. They're just stacked down there, and you're like, hey, boys, and what's crazy on the graph is you go down and you see 6 fish, and you see 4 of them are this size and 2 of them are way bigger, and then you catch like 3 5-pounders, a 7-pounder, and an 8-pounder, and you're like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
It's It's fun, dude. We're both eat up. They're doing what we like them to do,
Right.
and it's been great.
They're doing everything, so it works out for everybody. Go ahead, Z.
Well, one thing I've noticed, and I'll give you two guys a shout out here, is that you're right. When you guys take people out, no matter what the condition, no matter what's going on, it's their best day of the week because they're fishing. And you two guys could fall into the trap of taking it for granted because you do get to fish the best lake every day and you get to experience this every day. But it never gets old to you guys. Every time I talk to Billy, every time I talk to Captain Ron, boy, they're excited to tell me about your day and what happened fishing. So
We love it, man.
props to you guys on not getting bored with it and, making every day special.
It's
Yeah.
real. The passion is real with me and Cap. I can tell you, because we go fishing. Listen, guys, this is how crazy we are and how eat up we are. We wake up in the morning, we get in our trucks, we're both driving to the lake, we call each other and we talk about fishing for about 45 minutes. 30 to 45. Do we not, Cameron?
Yeah, and it's not really. We don't talk about anything else but fishing.
We don't talk about anything else but fishing. Nothing
I don't
else.
even like you as just a regular person.
No,
You see what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like,
Absolutely.
if we didn't fish, I wouldn't even be friends with you.
Then we go fishing all day, and
Yep.
then when we get in the truck and drive home, we talk for 30 to 45 minutes about fishing.
Yeah, it's kind of gay.
It's weird, but we
I
do.
am,
It's
I am
weird.
tickled shitless that Captain Ron came back around because I used to get them phone calls. I was like, man, look, I got meetings I got to be on. And they trying to call me at 5:30 one morning. Terrence's like, what's wrong? Is he hurt? Something broke? I said, nah, he just bored driving on the way to lake.
That's it. I'm too excited, man. I got to talk about that fishing, dog. Well, man,
I
it's
get in
been
the truck in the morning. If it's like 4:45, Billy ain't called me. I think something's wrong. I'm like, man, hope he ain't over. Should I call him? Make sure he ain't overslept. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Possible. Hey, man, thank you, Zach. Thank you. Most importantly, thank each and every one of you. You guys go check out the sponsors that help us out. Go check out Smash State Custom Baits, 6 Sense Fishing, Lew's Fishing, Amphibia Eye Gear. I know I'm missing somebody. Impact Lures. Like, man, the team we got behind us is awesome. But what's most awesome is each and every one of you guys that come on here, ask the questions, participate in the community where we're just trying to help each other catch more fish and love our fellow man. That's what we're all about. That's what we will always be about, first and foremost here. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.
All right, man. I'll